Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. I'm really glad you're taking a second to join me here today. So I'm supposed to have a partner in crime with me here today. Jared Berkey is actually going to be preaching for the first time this Sunday, which is really exciting for him, really exciting for us to be able to share with him in that. And he was going to join me here today, but he woke up this morning and his voice was just gone. So he decided he better rest his voice, skip the sermon preview, and focus on Sunday. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this passage. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I don't want to take anything away from what Jared wants to talk about. But essentially what we're doing is we are continuing on in our series in the letter to the Colossians from Paul. Called Greater Than, this idea that Jesus is greater than anything else. And in these last couple chapters, we've really been focusing on the idea of if Jesus is greater than, if he is supreme, if he is sufficient in his work, what does that mean for us? How should we live as a result of that? And we've talked about that the last couple of weeks. And so we see that start to bleed over into our passage today as well. Right, so Jared's going to be looking at chapter 3, verse 18 through chapter 4, verse 1. That first verse of chapter 4 is kind of tacked on to the end of that passage. And really what we see in this passage is we see three different relationships. We see the relationships between a husband and a wife. We see the relationship between parents and spouses, and parents and children. And then we see the relationship between masters and slaves, or maybe a modern day equivalent might be employers and employees. Okay, and so we see how are we supposed to interact within these relationships, and we have to look back to what Paul just told us in the previous passage of put on these things: compassion, kindness, humility, meekness or gentleness, patience, forgiveness, love. Right? We need to put these things on, and these things need to bleed into our relationships. And so more or less the relationships that Paul is laying out here are an example of how you can live these virtues, these attributes out on a day-to-day basis. And so we see the different ways that is impacted within a husband and wife relationship, a parent and a child relationship, and a slave and a master relationship. And we see really that Paul is kind of, a little bit, he's changing the status quo, because we see that the Romans, the culture that they were in, they had a certain way of living, and Paul's changing that a little bit. So I'm sure Jared's going to be touching on that to some degree on Sunday, and so make sure and come and hear what that looks like. How is Paul changing what the household, the Christian household, should look like compared to the Roman household or the Greek household? So I'm really excited for Sunday. I'm really excited to see Jared in a new area of the church in preaching and bringing the word for us. And I'm excited to see how God works through him and the word that he lays on his heart. And so I want to ask you, the congregation, to come and to support him in that, in this being his first time preaching. And so come support him, encourage him, build him up in this as he ventures out and out in faith and in doing this new thing within the life of the church. So again, excited for Sunday, Colossians chapter 3, 18 through chapter 4, verse 1, and we'll be looking at that together. So, looking forward to seeing you here at 9:15 Sunday morning. Take care.